Bismillahirrahmanirrahim wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. I'm Brother Ali, you're you. This is the Travelers Podcast, and I'm going on tour. The guest this week is the Grouch. And the Grouch, super dope, incredible MC from a group literally called the Living Legends, and that's what they are. It's one of the foundational just backbones of underground independent hip hop music that came about in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and on to this day. Like a lot of us are still, even at this season of life and 20 some years later, 25 plus years later, I think Atmospheres and even Grouch, I think some of these guys are coming up on 30 years of releasing music. For me, it's just a little over 20 years, but it's a really beautiful movement that I'm really proud and blessed to be a part of and just grateful. I feel grateful for the whole thing. And a lot of us are still out here never having radio hits, never having, major outlets or anything like that. Still packing rooms full of excited, beautiful music lovers, that are having real experiences and still exploring and expressing ourselves. And so Grouch is as part of one of those groups. And for years, Grouch has done a tour called How the Grouch Stole Christmas. I was part of this tour back in 2010. And they normally do from Denver over to the West Coast. He doesn't do the whole country. And it would be Grouch and another headliner from the underground. So one year it was, me and Grouch. One year it was him, and he brought out Evidence. There's just been Mr. Fab. Shout out to Mr. Fab from the Bay Area. So there's been all these really dope guests along the way. This year, Grouch is bringing it back with the entire Living Legends crew, and I'm the support. So it's Brother Ali and the Living Legends. We're going to be rocking. I have the dates in front of me. We're going to be rocking from just after Thanksgiving to just before Christmas. So we're doing Seattle, Portland, Reno, Boise, Santa Cruz, Bend, San Francisco, Sacramento, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Denver, Albuquerque, Phoenix, San Diego, Santa Ana, and then we end in LA. And then after that, me and Grouch and Eli just announced that the three of us are doing shows together in Colorado right around New Year's time. So the last 3 days of the year, we have shows in Colorado as well. All of this is available at brotherali.com. You can also go to the Grouch's site, but go to brotherali.com in the event section. There's links for everything. You can buy tickets and get all of that good stuff. This basically is Grouch's tour, and he's the administrator of it. He's the one who's taken it on his shoulders to organize all of this stuff. So I'm really, really grateful for that. Just to be back out rocking and to end the year like that. I'm really excited about it. Grouch is also a dear friend of mine. He's like one of these people that I feel very close with, even though our time together comes in spurts. And the last time we really sat and chopped it up and connected was back in 2010 when we did the tour, and you'll hear us talk about that. I want to give a special shout out to the Caravan people. If you're listening to this podcast every week, we're sponsored by the Zakat Foundation. I'll talk about it in a minute. And we have this partnership with BetterHelp for online therapy. We'll hear about all of that during the course of this episode. But also there's a group called the Caravan, which is our community of supporters and subscribers that really make this thing happen. If you go to brotherali.com in the join section or brotherali.com/join, you'll be able to check that out. There are different levels of engagement and support that you can dive in at. And one of the things is that we're building our own streaming service. And so a couple of things I want to tell you about with that. Number one, I just found some radio commercials that I did back in the day, and it's hella embarrassing. Those things aren't for everybody. I don't want to put them on Spotify or anything like that. I really don't even want them on YouTube. But we have a growing streaming service for the Caravan on brotherali.com in the join section. And I'm going to upload those. I probably will give an explanation too for like how it all came about and why I did it and all that stuff. But I did straight up radio commercials for like hip hop clothing brands and all this kind of stuff way back in the day. This is I think it's before my first album even dropped. But in any case, that'll be up there. But me and BK have been collecting. BK1 is my first DJ and also partner in Travelers Media and the producer of this podcast. We've been collecting this huge database of songs this rare and exclusive music. And we've been uploading things here and there. But we've decided to really come up with a big folder of it, a big collection of it, and within the next week or so to just upload all of it. So there literally will be, dozens. It might be close to 100 songs. I'm not exactly sure. But all sorts of rare and exclusive verses that I did, guest verses that I did, mixtape joints that I did. Already there's a lot of stuff there that you can check out that's exclusive and rare. There's video content, all sorts of really dope stuff that's up there. So head to brotherali.com in the events section and check out the tour. Go to the join section, get down with the Caravan. You can go to the merch section. You know what I mean? And all of our stuff is in there. And if you look at the catalog stuff on brotherali.com, there's like little excerpts and backstories about different projects. So all of that stuff is really dope. We are sponsored from the very beginning by an organization called Zakat Foundation. It's a global humanitarian organization, but they're special and they're dope and they're sincere and they feel authentic to me. And I've had, different people in that organization that I've been really close with. And the fact that this global charity basically is supporting a podcast about hip hop and culture, it shows how creative they are and how outside the box they think about things. I live in Turkey and there was a huge earthquake in Turkey. And it was really good to know that Zakat Foundation had an office in Turkey and that they were able to jump in and start helping people on the ground, and we were already connected with them. There's just been these huge, North Africa, Libya, Algeria, Morocco have all just had all kind of disasters. There's this stuff going on. And so in Hawaii, Grouch lived in Hawaii, you'll hear in this conversation. So there was a lot being done. And when these things happen, it's good to know that I'm already plugged in and that our listeners and supporters are already plugged in with an organization that's responding in ways that are wise and beautiful and thoughtful and based on human dignity. So go to Zakat, Z-A-K-A-T, Zakat US on social media, or just go straight to zakat.org. Just put something down on what they're doing while you're listening to this. Put $1 on something. Put $5 on something. Put $5 million on something. Like whatever you got, you know what I mean? A little bit goes a long way when the intention is right and when the approach is right and when the methodology is good. And that's been my experience with Zakat Foundation, so I'm happy to be connected with them. Really enjoyed this episode. I had a great time talking to my man, the Grouch, and I'm happy to share this conversation with you on the Travelers Podcast. What's going on, man?
Brother Ali, how are you?
Man, I'm happy to finally talk to you. It's crazy we're doing a whole tour together, and this is the first time like talking in real time.
I know, it's wild.
Like
it's kind of cool.
Like we definitely coordinated a whole tour.
It feels like
in different continents.
Yeah, this is like a first date after a long time, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Feels like that. Yeah.
You look the same. Everybody else aging and not you. You look.
Oh, you stop it, bro.
For real, dude. For real.
It must be the lighting. It must be the lighting.
No, man. I follow you. I follow you.
Oh,
like, man, this guy is not aging, man.
I take care of myself.
Yeah, I know you do. So the new Living Legends album, new tour, it's dope, man. It's really like we're in a really amazing, unprecedented time again.
Wow.
Like the time that we all started our careers, we were doing something that was really new.
Yep.
And, there was something about it that like, none of us are the first independent hip hop artists or crews ever, but there was something unique about the way that we were approaching it. And it feels like now in this particular time, just being at the season in life that we're all in, it feels like, again, we're doing something that's unprecedented. You know what I mean? Like I just look at the level of artistry and creativity and just overall wellness. Like it feels like of a lot of the hip hop artists as we start to like just move into other phases of life.
Yeah.
I think it's proof that like the way that we're living and the way that we're doing this and
Mm-hmm.
how holistic it is and how genuine it is, how
Mm-hmm.
sincere it is, I feel like we're aging better than a lot of our predecessors and people that we started with.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way you feel with that. And for me, I just try to apply what I've learned along the way into the new stuff that we're creating. And sometimes I don't realize how much we've grown and how much we've learned and how many new ideas and concepts that we have that are valuable to the world, that we can put into the music, that we can put into the reels or whatever form of quote unquote content that we're putting out there for people. And we've been big inspirations to people to watch us do independent music and do what we love and follow our hearts. And it's led us to an amazing place, which is now.
Yeah, man. And there's something really special about, yeah, just seeing the way that it's all developed, like the fact that when we started, we didn't have this kind of like facade of being rich, famous. You know what I mean? It was very like we're real people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what we were being rewarded for.
Mm.
And so there's something that like we were a lot of us, I think, looking for something very sincere and authentic within ourselves as human beings.
For sure.
And those things, as we age, like those things just become more and more strong and more rooted. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like the listeners are catching up to us. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's something about like what we were saying then, you know what I mean? That like when you're in your 20s and looking at people partying and
Ah,
like, well, they,
yeah.
they seem like they got more models than those guys got, and they got nicer chains than those guys got.
Right.
But we're like looking people in the eye like, no, but what type of human being are you? Because that's really what it boils down to. And that's really what fuels the art is not, not the stuff associated with it, not the prestige, not the
Man.
level. It's like, what person are you?
Yeah.
And so as we age, like that just becomes so much more real. We become more comfortable with ourselves. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's been like proof of what we've been saying all along. The fact that we can be here doing what we're doing and creating like and performing at the level that we still do. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's amazing. And that yeah, that hits me because we just do what we do. And we've grown up with this and it's part of who we are, it's part of our makeup. And I feel like when I get on stage with Eli right now and we do our show, sometimes I try to objectively look at it. I mean, to me, it's just second nature, but people will say that's amazing. Or people will say, I've never seen you guys or heard you guys before, and you guys are pros at this.
Yeah.
And and then I just have to look at myself and say, yeah, but that is how it's coming off. That is, it feels polished. It feels like we put in our 10,000 hours and people can see it. And so that feels good. That feels validating. And another point that I want to make is that we're starting to see mainstream hip hop, quote unquote, rap about the things that we've been rapping
Absolutely,
about
man.
for 30 years,
Yeah.
and people react to it like, oh wow, that guy's speaking from his heart.
Right.
And to me, that's like a thank you. I'm happy to see that in hip hop, and it makes me feel like I was on the right path, like you said, all along.
Yeah.
Those are the things. I'm still not monetarily rich, but I feel rich. I feel healthy. I still feel like a regular person, like you said. Like we started this thing without feeling like we were rap superstars. We just knew that we were dope, and I still feel like that.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember for me the first time that happened was when 444 came out. And people were like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the evolution of rap music. Like this is him talking about his issues with his father. And like for
Right,
Jay-Z, it
right.
was that. You know what I mean? Like this is
Yeah,
a person who like we all love him. You know what I mean? And some people have a
Yeah.
love-hate relationship with him. I just
Yeah.
love him. You know what I'm saying? He's
I
hilarious
love
to me
that album.
sometimes.
I love that
Dude.
album. I
Yeah.
love that album, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's one of my favorites. But
And it's crazy that like those songs that he sampled, like that was my playlist back when I was making the music that we all, you know what I mean? Like when we were doing this in the late 90s,
for
early
sure.
2000s, like those Nina Simone and Donny Hathaway records and all that stuff. That's the music that I was listening to then. And that's
That's
what I was
right.
rhyming about at that time.
That's right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Very cool.
It's just so
Yeah.
strange that in some ways, like, yeah, like you said, like they catch up with us. And then also
Yeah.
hearing the new Killer Mike record. Because Killer Mike is
Mm,
one of us. It's weird. Like Killer Mike is
for sure.
one of us, but he also is down with Outkast. Like he's always had a foot
Yes.
in both worlds.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Hip hop's beautiful. Yeah. Hip hop is beautiful. I'm glad to have a part in it. And yeah, I'm just loving to be here now and see how it's grown and what part we play in it. And I'm just grateful to be here and be a part of hip hop.
Yeah. So you've been associated with, I mean, like you've been associated with a few different places
Hmm.
that feel like they really have a major part in the way that you express yourself and live. You know what I'm saying? The Bay and
Mm,
LA and also Maui.
yeah.
But is there one place in particular that you really is there one place that's home and then the others are second and third homes?
The Bay and Maui are my first home,
Mm,
and LA is my second home.
mm,
Yeah. So I don't know how to explain that exactly. I mean, I was born and raised in the Bay Area in Oakland, and that's what made me who I am to a certain point,
yeah.
and that can never be taken away, and it will never go away. And the Bay is just a very unique place, and a lot of my morals and values and the way that I see the world was developed there or here because I'm in the Bay right now.
Mm,
Um, and I'm proud of that. I'm happy to have been raised here. And at some point, we moved to LA, and I just did not understand LA the way that I understand the Bay.
mhm.
Um, I will say that at this point, the Bay has gotten a little wild, and I have been away so long that I felt like when I moved to LA in the early 2000s, I understood the Bay Area. I knew where I could go, I knew where I couldn't go. I I just knew how to get around. I mean, I still know how to get around, but being away so long, I don't feel like I know it exactly. I don't know it the way that I knew it before.
Yeah.
And that's a little uneasy of a feeling, to be honest, to feel about your home or my home. Um, but at the time when I moved to LA, I really didn't understand LA. I felt comfortable in the Bay and uncomfortable in LA. I would stay in mid city with Merce and Lucky I Am, and we'd hear gunshots all night. And it's not that I hadn't heard gunshots in Oakland, but they were my city's gunshots, and I kind of knew that has nothing to do with me and is probably not going to reach me.
Right.
In LA, I felt like, whoa, this is wild. I don't know this neighborhood. I don't know who these people are. And I ended up moving to the Valley because Lucky I Am's parents said, yo, if you want to live somewhere safe and cheap, you should move to the Valley.
Mm,
And that's where I bought a home. And, they still call that place LA, even though it's not technically LA City, it's in LA County. And yeah, I don't know, I'm rambling now, but those are that's the LA Bay story. Maui was a place that my soul just connected with immediately.
yeah.
Hawaii in general. When I first touched down there, I fell in love in a way that I couldn't ignore.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't just like a tourist love. Oh, I like Mai Tais and laying on the beach in the sun. It just was like a deeper soul connection. And I have some reasons why I think that could be. Um, I still feel that way. I still feel like my soul may be connected to Maui the strongest.
Mm,
You know, I have history. I have history in Oakland, and my soul is there too. But in Maui, it might be the strongest connection.
yeah, I feel that. And it's funny when you moved to Maui, like you could feel that, like even as your friend and like somebody observing you, like it really, I could sense that and just feel it.
It did so much for me and my family, and it welcomed us in a way that we needed to be welcomed at the time, and it provided a lot of peace and loving vibes, and it set the stage for a whole chapter of my life that was 10 years, and a certain creativity that came with that. And I'm just very grateful. And you know, even at the time, the stuff I was making there, it's kind of hard to make rap music in Paradise. And I had a lot of people tell me that I fell off, or I'm soft now. A lot of, not a lot, not the majority of people, but I heard those kind of comments. And 10 years later, those people came back to me and said, "Oh, I understand now. I wasn't in a place to hear that stuff then, but now I'm married and I have a family and I have kids, and your music is what I listen to when my wife is delivering her baby, you know."
Yeah. I remember there's one of the I think it's one of the intros of the album. You're like, I'm on land that I own. I'm recording this, looking out a window on this beautiful landscape.
Mm,
The breeze is coming in the window. My daughter's playing.
mm.
At that time, you just like,
Yep.
my wife is here. I do what I love for a living, and that's how I feed my family. And so that's what
Yeah.
you need to understand when you hear this music. But man, for people who have never had that experience, man, it's a tough thing to wrap your head around. It's a difficult thing to embrace when you haven't had that feeling. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Istanbul in a lot of ways has been that for me, and I'm still in the early part of it.
I mean, it's interesting. We've never talked about that, but I always felt that that's probably what that is for you. And yeah, I just say enjoy. I would say enjoy, and I know you are. And I don't know. I would love to hear more about it sometime.
Yeah, it's funny, like just what they represent to us, and in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
what we're desiring from ourselves and what we're desiring for our
Mm-hmm.
families, and the
Yes.
things in life that we want to extract from what's available. You know what I mean? Like, man, Maui and
Yes.
Istanbul look very different. They smell very different.
Yes.
They
Yes.
sound very
Yes.
different.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
No, but I feel you.
yeah,
There's I don't read a lot of books, to be honest, but there's a book that somebody gave me. It's by Joseph Campbell, and it has something to do with the hero's journey.
mhm,
And it says there's a certain chapter about like taking yourself out of, I think in this book it's like saying out of civilization, going to the mountains or retreating, removing yourself from what you're comfortable with and where your family's at, and going and doing your own thing for
yeah,
a while.
yeah,
And that's a part, and it says that that's a part of every hero's journey. It's, I don't know what stage he had labeled it or whatever, but I felt like Maui was that for me and my family. And then he even goes into like, and once you come back, then it's, then he has a whole bunch of other theories and ideas based on removing yourself, so to speak, and then returning. Um, and I've done that. I went and I came back, and both of those experiences have been major in my life.
So when you went, what was the thing that made you? What was the thing that made you finally make that decision? Like when you went to Maui, like, because I mean, I'm thinking, I remember at that time, the Legends were in LA at that time.
Hmm.
Things were very strong, like everything was rolling.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You were really well established, and you were set up, and everything was strong. So, what was the decision to leave and to go to Maui?
It was based on on not wanting to raise my daughter in the San Fernando Valley.
Hmm.
That's that, and the fact that my daughter's mother and I both loved Maui, like, and we felt that soul connection. And then there was a little bit of God's timing that was in there, because my daughter was almost about to be 2, and at that time you start thinking, where is my child going to go to school,
Yeah,
and where is she going to grow up? Like, on this block here in the San Fernando Valley, which is kind of suburbish of LA. It's close to being a part of LA, but it doesn't have the same art and culture. And back then, mom and pop businesses, it just was more of strip malls and blocks.
hmm,
And and I grew up in Oakland, which is a very human, soulful,
yes,
artistic place.
yeah,
And I like what parts of me came out of that. And so I felt like I'd be cheating my daughter if I raised her in the valley, to be honest. No disrespect to anybody that was raised in the valley. And I just knew it would be a richer life over there. As far as, I'm a nature guy too. I'm a nature guy. In Oakland, California, in the hills, there's a lot of redwood trees and forests, and you go back over those hills and there's lakes, and it's just nature hikes. And so my family we didn't have a lot of money, but certain members in my family taught me to value nature.
yeah,
I, I mean, that's natural. So I don't know if it's like it was taught exactly, but they would bring me. And so I feel like I have a strong connection to nature. And I felt like Maui was one of the most easy access places to nature right now. Um, 15 minutes away from the house, you can be running your head under a waterfall, or at least 2 or 3 or 4 times a week we can immerse ourselves in the ocean. And that to me is a rich life. And that's what I saw from my daughter, and that's what she experienced.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was the main catalyst.
Was there a sense that, I mean, one of the things that I've always just observed about the Legends, and I want to ask too about leaving Maui, because a lot of that is like personal for me,
Hmm.
but it feels like the Legends, like, some rap crews feel like a family, and a lot of them talk
Hmm.
about being a family.
Yeah.
The Legends feels more like a community, which is like not everybody in the community, like a community is a little bit more political. You know what I mean? A community is a little bit more
Right.
like
Right. Right.
there are different
Right.
personalities. Those
Right.
personalities don't always get along. There's
Yeah.
different worldviews. There's different perspectives. There's different ideas about the way that this thing should go.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's definitely love, no question there.
Right.
But like it really feels like a lot of what makes the Legends what it is. There's a lot of very visceral and defined tension in
Yes,
in
sir.
your crew.
Yes,
You
sir.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when you moved, was there, like, how did you feel about like what that would do to the crew and your relationship with the crew?
Ah, I honestly, at that point, didn't give a fuck. Um, yeah. To to be real, to be real.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Not at that point. Not at
Right.
that point. I knew what I had to do
Hmm.
for my family.
Hmm.
Um, There was a lot going on. I have different arms of my creative self. I would say I had projects going on with Zion I and the Grouch. I had Grouch and Eli projects, um, and I had Grouch solo projects. And I wasn't trying to be selfish. I love the Living Legends. The Living Legends is like my strongest leg, in my opinion.
Mm,
I have these different appendages, and it's a part of me, and it always was going to be, and is, and stayed that throughout the whole time. It was, lucky I am, and I got into something around that time based on, I believe I believe it was like he wanted me to push for the Legends to get on a certain show that he felt was really big. And I ended up taking the show with Zion I and the Grouch because that's what they wanted at the time.
hmm.
And so that coupled with, I've been best friends with Lucky I Am over the years, like on and off, to like to the point where like that's my best friend, and then, oh, okay, I guess he's best friends with somebody else now, like
Yeah,
for both of us probably.
yeah,
And so there's a lot of that's my guy, they're like that's my guy to the whole situation. So it's, when I left, I do think maybe the group or certain members of the group felt like, oh, he's doing that, he's just out like that. But I'm not sure. We don't A community doesn't always communicate
right.
straight. I like that analogy that you made in a way. Um, but we weren't communicating um, in a sophisticated manner at that point.
Hmm.
There was tension,
Yeah,
and so I don't know if it exactly came. I don't think it mostly came from me moving to Maui, but I do feel like they probably were like, "Damn, he moved 3,000 miles away. What's this going to do?" You know? But I don't think that that's what, I mean, here, the simple fact is that Living Legends hasn't recorded an album since 2008
yeah,
until now.
yeah,
And it took me until now to sit back and say, why is that? And then to figure out, because there are all these reasons. You know, Merce was doing paid dues and getting signed to other labels, and Eli was dealing with a heroin addiction, and I was growing a family and moving to Hawaii, and Tommy was, starting something with somebody else, like him and a female group, and certain guys didn't want to make music as their full-time thing all the time as a solo artist,
yeah,
and we lived in different places. So there's, I kind of trace back in my mind that, oh, this does make sense, that the output started to go down and the traveling and the tours started to go down. But I reached a point now where I'm like, all my brothers are here and they're alive, and this is my family, and we need to celebrate while we're here. And
yes,
what do we come here to do? I believe we came here to create these songs and inspire people through them.
yeah.
And so I'm very happy. I'm very happy to have this new album, because this is a concept that's been years in the making.
Hmm.
Even though I say I just sit back right now, or the album's coming out right now, like these thoughts have been brewing in my mind for a while. So I'm super excited to just have 16 songs to show the world.
Man, when I came to Istanbul, when we finally pulled the trigger on it was right around the time. It definitely coincided with when I went completely independent and was no longer on
Mm,
Rhymesayers anymore.
right,
You know what
right,
I mean? And it's just like, man, neither one of these things is because of the other one,
right,
but the synchronicity of them cannot be denied.
right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something
Mm.
about coming here that because I lost that safety net.
Mm.
Because you know what a
Mhm.
what a organized thing Rhymesayers is, you know?
I sure do. I sure
And
do.
I don't have parents, you know what I mean? My wife's parents are
Right?
in the projects. My wife's mom died of COVID during
Wow.
COVID.
Wow.
And like so we have 4 children and no safety net. Rhymesayers was
Wow.
the safety net. And coming here was it was a big risk, but also it's so much less expensive to live a really comfortable life here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Maui wasn't super inexpensive, but I had a good setup there, and I didn't I don't have, any savings or crazy fallback plan,
Hmm.
and I felt rich there the whole entire time, and it wasn't because I had any money,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I
so
feel
I
I feel the same way here.
I believe you do. Yeah, I believe you do. And that feeling is amazing. And I think that's how you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and then so many of the I was just talking to Ant, actually, it was his birthday the other day, and I called him, and it was a beautiful thing. Like, I called him for his birthday, but he was like, "Hey, man, I just wanna say that all of the tension that I could feel building in you over the past several years,"
Mm, mm.
he's like, "is gone now.
Wow.
That tension isn't there anymore, and it's just replaced with this, like, really deep sense of, like, satisfaction. Like,
Wow.
your soul is satisfied now." So he's like, "Man, just in case." He's like, "Man, just if you ever wonder, did you do the right thing?" He's like, "That's a great sign."
Wow. Yeah. I see that. I see that.
Man, what is this gift of like these friends and brothers that we have through this thing? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
It's like I feel like only like when you pursue your dream with somebody and then it happens like together, but then
Yeah.
also specifically the thing that's making it happen is like exploring ourselves and expressing ourselves together.
Yeah.
There's like how could anybody be closer than that? You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's
That's very
really
cool.
special, man. It's the one thing that, I say on this podcast all the time that most of the people on here they're all amazing. It's like Pharoah
Hmm.
Monch has been on this show and you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like all of these incredible people.
Mm.
But maybe they're not famous to the outside world. Like to us, Pharoah Monch is like on Mount
For
Rushmore.
sure. For sure.
But you know what I'm saying? But like Mystic was on this show and like you hear Mystic talk and it's like, how is she not? You know what I'm saying? Like any one of these people could be famous just if you just shake the dice up
Yeah.
different in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's not like they're missing anything. Like,
Yeah.
why isn't Cyrock famous? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? It just happens
Right.
like that.
Right. I mean, and sometimes famous is not necessarily the goal,
I think it's corny as hell, man. I think it's so
You think it's
corny.
corny? Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Uh,
the most famous people I know are not happier than we are. Like, they're just
I know.
not. They're not.
I
They,
know,
they
brother.
like they're throwing all of that stuff, all those resources, and there are so many artists that are unsatisfied. Like there are so many artists that
Mhm.
just haven't discharged, like their gifts are still in them.
Mhm.
They either haven't put the work in or haven't just plugged into the right outlet yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is hell. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like a dissatisfied artist that's one of the hardest things
Mm.
because I've been that.
Yes.
And I've gone in and out of it. There's times where felt successful and then got
Yeah.
dissatisfied and then felt satisfied.
Yeah.
And so like when you're a satisfied artist and you're with somebody who is more outwardly successful, but they don't have the same level of satisfaction,
Right.
it's a weird
I
feeling, man.
understand. Yeah.
To you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To sit with them and like, why are you drunk every day?
Yeah.
Why do you have to spend $7,000 a day to try to feel happy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
It's like, man, I feel for you.
yeah.
I feel for you.
Yeah, the whole thing is very interesting because I'm not going to lie. Of course, at times I wanted to be more famous,
Yeah.
um, but then I look at these type of situations that you're talking about, and I look at. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. better than God's plan,
Yeah.
you know? And so the more I go as an independent artist who was never celebrated on TV or the radio, um, and in other ways, like I'm very unknown to a lot of the hip hop world. But the more I go on with life and the blessings that I receive, and me just being confident in my own self and what I've done and what I've been through,
Yeah.
it just makes me feel grateful. That's what I keep coming back to, and I feel like I have I have my own level of success that, yeah, again, the word is grateful. The word is just grateful, and I feel like that is success.
The only thing I think that the only thing that still is a desire,
Hmm.
because it's like, the more at peace we are is so related to like what we desire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like breaking our desires actually is what makes us more peaceful.
Mm.
And it feels so counterintuitive because it's like, well, if I go get what I desire, that's what's gonna give me peace.
Right.
But then once you start to get some of those things, you realize like your desire never gives up. You
Right.
have to really discipline your desire and you have to try as much as possible to break it and examine it
Mm. Hmm.
but the one desire that stays with me, for me and for my friends, like I have this
Uh-huh.
desire for you and for all of us is like, man, I know that there are people who would love to connect with what we do that have just
Hmm.
never had the opportunity to hear
For
it. And it
sure.
would
For
be
sure.
great.
Yeah.
It'd be great if they could access that before we're dead.
Yeah.
Like seeing
That.
people listen to Doom now is dope.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, Doom was Doom a long time.
Yeah. A very long time. Yeah. I feel you. I have that same desire, and I mean, I'm still a frustrated artist at times. And the thing that is at the top of that list for me right now is I just want to reach the people who already like my
Damn
music.
it, man.
And
Yes, dude. Yeah, when people come and they're like, hey, man, I used to love your stuff. What have you been doing? And you're like, 150 shows a year, album every
right,
year, like, you know what I'm saying?
right,
Content every damn
right.
day. And like, I'm out here
Yeah,
buzzing my chops, man. Like trying to, what are you talking
yeah,
about? What have you been up to? Yeah,
right,
man.
right. I mean, the way social media is set, I don't want to get into like the conspiracy theories of the algorithms, but let's call it what it is. I mean, I don't have millions of followers, but I have 67,000 or so on Instagram. And each time I try to tell the people that we have a new song out, maybe a couple hundred see it,
Right.
or 1,000. And to me, that's just the most. And then I said Instagram, but apply that to every one of these
Yeah.
outlets.
Yeah.
It's the same story.
Yes.
And I just want to reach my people who want to. Here's the thing, Ali. Then people say, what do you expect to get stuff for free? You got to pay to advertise. And the thing is I don't want to advertise.
Right.
I just want to
Communicate.
I just want to communicate.
Word.
Exactly. I don't want
Yes.
to advertise. I just want to communicate. So when I go on the post to boost my post, because I sometimes go down the cycle of
Yes.
thinking, well, maybe this is what I got to do, right?
Hmm.
So I click on boost post and I look at the options and it says, do you want more website hits or do you want more comments? Or do you want more profile views? And I'm like, those are the only three options. I don't want any of those. I just want to let people know. I just want to let my message be seen by the people who want to see it.
Yeah.
Where's that option?
Yeah.
You know? Um, and so that stuff is frustrating. And there's other parts where it's like, but I do want to say that I forgot to make this one point
Mm.
is that what feels sweet is to be able to make it to where we've made it without the help of all these other places that these famous people get the help from.
Yeah.
You know, you're never gonna see a Brother Ali song on Rap Caviar, you know. And anybody whose song reaches Rap Caviar, okay, that's a big millions and millions of streaming song, but is it even real? You just got placed in the place that we don't get placed in.
And the crazy thing to me is like I remember when these like both social media and the streaming services, whether it's YouTube or
Mm-hmm.
Spotify or like all of them, and then all the social media stuff, we were sold this bill of goods that was like, now it's going to be democratic.
Right.
Now you're going to go directly to your
That's
people.
right.
And
That's
like,
right.
and so we
built
went
it
there.
for them. We built it. And we built it for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we went there and started taking fly pictures and posting all kind of music and like all kind of mixtapes and all kind of stuff. Drove all those people there. And now I got to pay you
Right.
to talk to the people who came here from me.
That's right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like these are however many people it is. If it's 100,
Yeah.
it's 100 people that said, I want to see what the Grouch does.
Yeah.
When the Grouch has something to say, I want to say it.
That's right.
And so they're like, okay, so you got to pay us to be, what do you expect to have for free? Well, like, you know what I mean? Again and again, it's like these people build the maze and then they sell you the navigation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, who said there need to be a maze to begin with?
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, what is this, man?
And then on top of it is like, aren't you rich enough? Don't you know how we're out here struggling? Like, do you really want us to not eat?
Yeah.
Do you want us to be broke? And when I say we, I'm not talking about just you and me, Brother Ali. I'm talking about the people in this world. Like,
dude,
it's a hard world for people to exist in and make enough money to pay their rent and feed their babies and shit. And it's like these monsters are just like, no, you can't live. You can't live.
Right.
It's pretty much what it is, you know. And so I don't want to start sounding like a bitter artist, but I'm passionate about.
No, it's true. And it's important that the people that listen to us are just aware of what we're up against. Yeah. And because it's a screen that's between us and them. Yeah. It's basically us saying like, yo, I'm trying to puncture this this barrier that's been placed between me and you. Yeah. Because the whole thing, like the whole arrangement between us and our listeners is like, we just, like y'all just stood outside of Amoeba and we're like, hey, you like music? I make music.
Right. That's right.
You want to put some headphones on and hear it?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, oh, you guys like Wu-Tang Clan? We're like Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
I mean, we got our own Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We got a dude on a bike and we got a, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, we got a skinny white guy. We got a,
that's right.
We got a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got a dude with Basquiat hair and you know what I'm saying? We got a dude with a Trojan condom around his neck. Right. And we got a half Chinese guy. We got a, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, what's up? We got our own Wu-Tang Clan. True. You want to see what we sound like? Yeah. We're going to be right over there selling our CDs.
That's right.
That's the whole arrangement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so like now this idea that like, man, that now we have to involve this thing that was supposed to democratize it all, man, has taken even people like us. Right. That I mean, we built our entire thing by going to Missoula, Montana, and like standing on stage for 30 people. Mm-hmm. And the club is like, this is our, man, we've never had a hippity hop show before.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We thought you guys were going to come in here and just pour liquor on everybody.
That's right.
And it's like, no, it was like, hell, you guys are real musicians. Like, we had to really build, man. Yeah. So it's important for our listeners to know that, so that like when you and Eli come out with a record, and the vinyl is $100. Right. It's important to know that, like, man, this is how we rebuild all of that. This is how we restructure all of that.
That's right.
This is how this beautiful vinyl that we made, and the price point, and the fact that it's exclusive, is our attempt to recreate something that was real between us. Mm-hmm. Like, man, this is coming directly from one of y'all's garage. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like literally we're back on the block in front of Amoeba. We're back on stage in Missoula. Yeah. It's like, man, it's our attempt to recreate the real connection between the people that we have.
Yeah, preach, brother Ali.
If you go to brotherali.com, you'll really see the kind of basis of our operation, all the stuff that we offer the world. I've been releasing music now since 2000 is when my first tape came out. That's when Rites of Passage dropped. That was the demo tape that I made in a hotel room in Houston, Texas. And if you go to brotherali.com in the join section, we've got a Caravan area where we are building our own streaming platform of music, videos, talks. And one of the things that you'll hear in there is an hour and a half long oral history of Rites of Passage, my demo tape from 2000. I just sat down and talked through all of the circumstances and stories of how that happened. And that's just for people that are on this journey and in this caravan with us. There's also a bunch of music there and videos. And I mentioned at the top of this thing that I'm going to go ahead and upload some of the radio commercials that I did early in my career. I needed the money, man, but also they're kind of tight. Like Ant did the beats, it's me rhyming, like, and they're fresh. Like I was kind of like channeling the popular rap music at that time because they were for the radio. So I was like channeling Fabulous and Fat Joe and Jay-Z and that whole kind of world. So I'm gonna go ahead and let the people hear them. But that's the kind of stuff that's not for everybody. Like it's just not for everybody. Those are the people that are really on my side and in my corner. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to put those up there. But then also, I want you to know that over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be uploading a huge chunk of guest verses and exclusives and features and just all kind of things that I've recorded. There's a project that me and BK1 did in 2007 called Off the Record. And BK, who's an amazing DJ, along with a million other skills that he really has. He's an incredible editor and curator. It's just, he really has a gift. And so he made a straight up mixtape of all of a bunch of my guest features and things up until that point. There's a feature that I did for Grouch and Lucky I Am. They had a project called Cool Man Association called Raise Up the Levels, a song I did for them. So that's on there. There's a joint on there that's produced by MF Doom that me and Slug did with Sage Francis. There's all type of stuff. That's on just Off the Record, the mixtape. So ever since 2007, though, I've done all these guest verses and all these features, and I've just been compiling them and stockpiling them because I'm like, someday somebody's going to make part 2, part 3, but I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So there's a joint with me and Wale. There's a joint with me and Sadat X and CL Smooth. There's a joint with Scarface. And it doesn't look like we're probably going to have a DJ make a mixtape out of this stuff. So instead, we're going to take all of these things and upload them to the Caravan section of brotherali.com. So you'll just have all of these exclusive things that I've done. I mean, there's talks on there. There's a video performance of when me and Evidence played at First Avenue when we did our Secrets and Escapes album. There's all kind of rare exclusive stuff that's there. If you go to brotherali.com, in the join section, you get down with that. If you go to the merch section, you'll see the Brother Minister series that we did. We have that on cassette. We've got those hoodies and T-shirts and sweatshirts and all this dope stuff. We got commemorative 15-year anniversary Uncle Sam Goddamn merch up there with Welcome to the United Snakes, Land of the Thief, Home of the Slave. We put on jackets and shirts and super dope. So a lot of that, if you just go to brotherali.com, that's this section of the podcast. It's just me letting you know that we're completely independent and that's the place to go for all of our shows, all of our special community building stuff that we're doing, and also all of the merch is all there on brotherali.com. Okay, so this is the personal thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you leave Maui? What was that about? I'm just curious to know what that was.
Well, A lot of it's personal relationship stuff with my daughter's mother, my
Yeah.
ex-wife.
Yeah.
But deeper than that, it was Maui telling us it's time for you guys to go.
Hmm.
Um, if you talk to the local people in Hawaii, they'll let you know how strong the spirit is there. And a lot of people just, there's a lot of feelings about the history of Hawaii and how it was taken, and what it's become, and speaking on the tourism and the white people who have come there. There's a lot of people who understand and act as guests there, and then there's a lot of people who don't understand, and they come and they think because they bought a house they're a local, you know
Hmm.
what I mean, or they're that makes them Hawaiian or whatever. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I've had white people tell me to get off their property in Maui, and I'm at a waterfall, and I'm like, you're fucking crazy,
Hmm.
you know? And so where I'm going with this is that there's that real world human to human tension, and like, what are we going to do about this?
Hmm.
To which there is no real solution so far. And then there's the spiritual solution, is that a lot of people believe you'll get kicked out of here. Like, if you're an asshole, Maui's going to deal with you, and you'll get kicked out of here. People come over there with their bags and ready to live there, and the spirits in Maui, it's believe will take care of you. If you're not supposed to be there, then it will let you know.
Hmm.
Like, it could be polite or it could be impolite.
Hmm.
And fortunately, mine was polite from the island, and I wasn't ready to go in my mind. I thought that I would live there forever. Um, and this did coincide with, like I said, my daughter's mom and our relationship had grown to a point where it was best that we, take new chapters in our lives, and that was simultaneously happening with the island telling us it's time to go.
Hmm.
And I didn't see it. I didn't see that it was my time to go, but now looking back on it, it was definitely my time to go, because for me, there was a lot of muscles that I wasn't using anymore that began to atrophy, just because I'm living this paradise life where I set myself up to do less work throughout the year because I never wanted to leave the island. I never wanted to leave my family. I would, how the Grouch stole Christmas was such a thing for me because it was at the end of the year, and I could condense, a number of shows into that time, and I could travel to the mainland and pick up some money and pretty much use that, kind of like a bear goes into hibernation or whatever, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
But I don't know if that makes sense. But
It
what I'm
does.
saying is, like,
No, it does,
I
man.
get it. Yeah, kind of let it last as long as it would last, and then I'd come out when I needed to. Basically, when I moved to Maui, what's the word? Sacrificed
Hmm.
a lot of career opportunities and money opportunities to live the life that I talked to you about, to live this rich life that didn't have to do with money and rapping. Um, and so I wasn't, I didn't know how to hustle anymore after that 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know how to hustle anymore after that 10 years.
And
Like,
I
a
mean,
part
for
of me,
somebody from the Bay to say something like that, I mean, that's a
yeah,
major statement. Because I mean,
yeah,
hustle is like in your bones when you're from the
Yeah.
Bay. I mean, that's
Yeah.
to even
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
fix your mouth to say something like that. I know how serious that has to be, man.
Okay, if I you're making me think twice about it, but no, it's real.
No, it's
It's a real
real.
statement, but if I could shape it a little bit more, I would say my hustle muscle had weakened, you know? It's not that I didn't know how
Yeah, put some pop back in it.
to
Yeah, put a little bay back in it.
That's
My
right.
hustle muscle was yada da da.
Yeah, but it's like any muscle that you're not working out
Right.
is gonna
Yeah.
atrophy, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
So something along those lines. That's the reason why I should have come back, but I didn't see that. So I feel like God or the universe had to create a situation to make me see it.
Yeah.
Because I would have just kept living like that forever. But then it's like I can't be. It's not that I was on vacation the whole time, but it's somewhere in there that concept lies.
Mhm.
Like I can't just be on vacation forever. You don't want to. I don't want to. It's not fulfilling my purpose in a certain aspect.
Mhm.
Multidimensional. Humans are multidimensional beings, you know?
We have to reapply every year for residency. Like you get a, you know what I'm saying? Like you get residency for a year. And unless you either work for a major company here or operate a company and you employ like 20 Turks or something like that
Yeah.
and like pay all their insurance and everything, or if you own a property worth $500,000 US,
Right.
or if you're a full-time student at the university. So like
Oh.
I can't just like take Turkish, you know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
like take history of Islamic civilization
Right.
like one course and
Right.
just have fun and go to school and wear my
Yeah.
backpack, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, man, sign me up for one class. They're
Yeah.
like, no, you have to be a full-time student.
Oh.
If you don't have any of those things, you're just considered a tourist. They're like, you're just chilling. You're not doing
Right.
anything here.
Right.
And so depending on the way that the politics go, you know, the religious party loves having people here like foreigners,
Mm.
refugees and visitors, and the
Mm.
secularists don't. Like they're on some
Mm.
like they want to kick the Syrians out. They
Right.
want to send the Afghans back to Afghanistan, and they
Right.
definitely want to send the Americans back to America.
Right.
And so like, it's a trip because like we live this beautiful life, but like we don't have much on our walls because like we're always like, dude, are we just gonna have to ship all this to the next place that we're going at the end of the year? You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Mm.
And
That's
every
interesting.
time, like we actually I have to reapply now. Like it's that time. So in between now and when our tour starts, I have to
Mm.
stay in the country. I
Mm.
just spent a bunch of time in
Mm.
America so that I could get all my stuff done.
Right.
And from now until our tour starts, I have to be here to apply.
Right.
And I'm like, man, just the idea of having to leave here, the idea of it makes me so deeply sad. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can only imagine.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go.
I never got on an airplane one time leaving Maui and wanted to be on that airplane. To this day. To this day. Anytime I have to leave that island, I'm sad.
Yeah.
So I can imagine.
It feels like leaving your mom, or like it feels like leaving your it's just like, man, I like me better when I'm here.
Ah,
Like
yeah.
this is my favorite me
Yeah, I
is when
understand.
I'm here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I miss our culture and I miss our people
Yep.
and I miss the I don't miss being on stage, but I do love it when I'm on stage.
Mm.
But I don't miss being there's no part of me that still feels
Mm.
like I need to go rip up a stage. Like
Really?
I
Really?
never get that feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, man.
That's
But I know that I love doing it. So every time somebody's
ah.
like, "Hey, you want to come hit the stage
Yeah,
and
yeah,
get some
yeah, yeah.
money?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." By the
Yeah.
time the second I hear my intro, I'll be like, "Ah,"
Right,
you
right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right. That's
But
interesting.
but I'm never at home like, man, I need somebody to be chanting Ali. I need my name chanted.
Oh man,
Like I am so
that's
happy
hilarious.
being like, you know, I'm just some random American that doesn't know how to even
Right,
talk.
right,
Like I don't even know the language, right?
right. Yeah.
So I went from being in Minneapolis, being like, man, I could never leave my house.
Right.
Like the way people in the Bay are like
Yeah.
town famous.
Yeah.
That's how we are in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And so like being in Minneapolis, I could never leave the crib without somebody yelling out their car window, yeah, skin brother Ali.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
And here I'm just some dude that doesn't even know how to ask what time it is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's
But
that's humbling.
yeah, but I miss our culture and I miss our people, you know. But other than that, I'm like, man, I would be so happy to be buried here.
Mm.
That would make me really happy,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
But I appreciate this a lot because it's a reminder that if it's time to go, then that means it's time to go.
Right.
Like if
Yeah.
that's what Allah decrees, then that's the best of all possible options.
Right.
Whether I'm satisfied with it or not that's my thing to work on and
That's
figure
right.
out.
That's right.
Yeah. It's interesting, like me and you are gonna be able to talk about white people in the exact same way. And we've done it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's ill that there's like
I mean, I'm white, but yeah, so it's weird sometimes when when
Yeah.
people hear me say people hear me talk about white people, they're like, some people are like, well, you're white, you know.
I mean,
But I don't know. I didn't mean to cut you
yes.
off.
No. I mean, that's kind of where I'm trying to. That's kind of where I'm thinking about going next. I mean,
Hmm.
there's people in bodies that are called white, and then
Mhm.
there are people that embody whiteness.
Mm.
And when a person is aware, and like people that are in bodies called white that also embody whiteness, that have always seen themselves as white, have always looked out into the world through the lens of what white is, I think it's very difficult for people to understand what a very odd and peculiar worldview and experience that really is.
Mm.
But then there are people that are in bodies that are understood to be white,
Mm.
that by some turn of events
Mm.
have had some opportunity to, like, the fish jumps out of the water
Mm-hmm.
and it like looks around and then comes back in and is like, hey, we're in water. And the other fish are like, you're stupid. Like, you're
Yeah.
an idiot. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Or like the person
Yeah.
leaves the cave and then comes back
Yeah.
and tells the people in the cave, like, yo, this is a cave.
Yeah.
And the people that have never left that cave, you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
And it just seems to me that, like, amongst the melanemic caucasoidal, you know what I mean? There's it's almost like there's not even a spectrum. Like, there are people who have had those type of experiences and the people that haven't.
Right.
And I notice even within hip hop, so you have like white hip hop fans that'll ask a white artist, how'd you get into hip hop?
Mm.
And it's like, I didn't. You know what I mean? I didn't. Like, this is always the life that I've had. You, the listener, got into hip hop at some point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so there's like this. So how do I put this in a question? I guess I wonder, what's the way that you've understood yourself, and is the way that you see yourself, does it match the way that you're aware that the world sees you with regard to race?
I don't really know how to explain that or answer it exactly. I've heard a lot of different things. I felt a lot of different things. Growing up in Oakland, I was surrounded by all cultures. My mother is a quarter Chinese, and she's brown skinned. She doesn't look like a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to yeah, maybe she does. It depends on who you're asking,
Right.
because a a black person may look at my mom and say, "There's a white lady," but a white lady may look at my mom and say, "That's a brown woman."
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how she got treated by the white people. Like, I seen it, like at the store. You know what I mean? Like, there was rich white ladies, and then there was my mom that was a brownish lady, and I see how they act towards her. Subtle. subtle things. She's an Oakland public school teacher, taught mostly Black and Latino kids for 30 years plus, and I'd be in her classroom, I don't even know what to say. Oakland's a melting pot of a lot of people.
Yeah.
I also played soccer, which still play to this day once I handle this ACL surgery that I need to get on my knee.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
But
I know how much you love playing le football.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's my number one. But in soccer is also, it's an underdog sport in America.
Right.
Especially at the time that I was growing up. And so all the white boys are playing baseball, football, maybe basketball, but in Oakland, not so much. And then I'm playing soccer with mostly all Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always had a close relationship with a lot of Latino people, and I've been a part of their families. And I don't know. That's how I grew up. White girls never liked me because they could smell it on me. All right. So this is yeah. This is
Lord.
before. This is
My
okay.
God.
Okay.
Do you have
also,
the other side of this locket?
Huh? Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, okay, we're talking about different eras too.
Yeah.
Because this is not how it is. We're talking about pre-hip hop being the most popular culture in the entire world.
Right.
We're talking about as hip hop culture is developing.
Yes.
And we're trying to be a part of it as, as people who are looked at as rare in that culture at that time. It's not like that anymore. Yeah, like this conversation might be silly to my daughter because they don't view each other like this anymore.
Yes.
But I was an oddball at a high school party because I liked rap, and I'm white, and none of the white people want to hear that shit.
Mm-hmm.
At that party.
And the more well-to-do Black people didn't even necessarily want to hear it early either.
Yeah, if you weren't into hip hop, you weren't even there. You weren't into hip hop yet. But Oakland had mostly, I think all the Black people were into rap already over here. Mm-hmm. And that was, it was already popular culture here, I guess, but I don't know. It all developed as I was a child, from Michael Jackson and Rick James being what I was listening to in the earlier 80s. And then, came all the stuff that, KRS-One and NWA and for me, Too Short and Rakim and I don't know. It started before that, Run DMC and Cool J and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then even before it was rapping, I'm listening to like the electro, funkish, old school, pre-hip hop shit.
Zapp and Roger and Egyptian Lover and all that kind of stuff.
All that, all those things. And so that just was my trail of like the music that I liked, and so that carried on into my life of the people that I gravitate. I used to I do this a lot when I say how was it back then, because I would see some, like back then, if someone was dressed in baggy pants with Gerbeau jeans and their hat was tilted to the side, then you could go like this, and you knew that person was down with what you were down with, and it was pretty accurate. It was pretty accurate. Yeah. And because not everybody was on it yet, so there's these little subtleties that you would pick up. If somebody was dressed like Dell was dressed, then you knew they liked underground hip hop. And I don't know where I'm going with this whole thing, brother Ali. I have people tell me a lot, "Oh, I thought you were black until I saw a picture of you right now." You
Hmm.
know, this whole time. Or they would say, are you part black? Like, what are you? What are you? But being a white person in hip hop is definitely a thing. You know, it's an experience that we've gone through, and that I'm grateful for, and that has been interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I've benefited in a lot of ways, and I don't know if I've not benefited in others. Early on, it felt kind of like, oh, I'm not in this. I got to do something to try to get in it.
Mm.
You know, to try to be accepted. Um, and so I feel like that felt more of like a struggle at the time, of like, the majority of people in hip hop are black and I'm white and there's not a place for me. How do I create that place, you know, without being an asshole? Um, but then it turned into like, okay, you're in this lane that's over here, which is called underground hip hop,
Hmm.
and the fan base now is mostly white over here, and you're white, and what you're saying to them is less jarring than what the gangster rappers were saying. So they couldn't listen to that. They wanted to come over here and listen to this because they see you and they relate to you because you look closer to them than Ice Cube looks to them.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of stuff to
Yeah.
unpack, as they say.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find is that there's not really a roadmap for how to, if there is, we don't know what it is. Like, what are the examples of people that have done this well?
Mm.
There's a million examples of how to be a devil doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, and we just look at different archetypes. So you got all these different archetypes, and none of them look favorable.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like, what's the language to talk about this in?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a whole language environment now that people call like woke or social justice
Right.
warriors or whatever. And it's weird because I don't necessarily disagree with it.
Right.
Um, but I also know that those specific words trigger a defense in some people. Because I do talk about it kind of a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I noticed that there are certain words that if you just even use certain language,
Mm.
then a lot of the people that I would like to really be in the conversation with,
Mm-hmm.
it's really going to be off-putting to them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to trigger all sorts of feelings of like, well, you must believe this and this and this and this and this. So it's really challenging. Like the frameworks aren't really there. At least we don't really have access to them.
Right.
The language isn't there.
Right.
It's really challenging, and to wade into those waters, like you're gonna make mistakes, and they're not
Right.
low stakes mistakes.
Right.
The mistakes are high stakes.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. So in terms of like in terms of your career and your work, how has this like later period, um it seems like in the beginning there was like a certain amount of I do feel like there was a lot more to prove in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of us. But I feel that in your work too. And then there was, with most of us, like we
Mm.
take this turn and this shift, and
Mm.
just like, man, I'm no longer on a mission
Mm.
to battle all the MCs and to gain all the props and to conquer all the land, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There becomes this like turning point where it just really becomes about exploring ourselves and connecting with the people that we connect with.
Yeah.
Do you agree that you're in that space? Like it feels like at a period there was like a corner that was turned in your
Um,
in your work?
well, okay, well, I will say that I was in that space, and that's kind of what I would say the Hawaii years were. I definitely made a lot of music that was okay. First of all, during that time, when you brought up that intro where I was saying, "Oh, I'm in Hawaii. I'm looking out the window. My daughter's playing over here." First of all, I was listening to your music a lot at that time,
Crazy.
right? Because your music represented positive music that I could play around my family. And in turn, I mean, I was already doing my own version of that, I think. But I was also inspired because you're a peer of mine who was doing something like that as well. And I'm not just going to sit around and listen to myself all the time. So I'm like, thank God Brother Ali is making this kind of music. And that's the kind of stuff that was in my headphones. Um, and so there was, I would say, the whole period of me being, I mean, it started a little bit before that. When my daughter was born, I wrote a song about her on the first
Mhm.
Zion I and the Grouch album.
Yeah, man.
And then I worked on my solo album, Show You the World, for the next 2 years, which was from her being born to her being 2 years old. And then when she was 2 years old, that's when we moved to Hawaii.
Okay.
And so basically, since my daughter was born until I left Hawaii, I think I was in a certain period. And I think it is close to what you were describing when you asked me this question.
Mm.
Um, Everything was good. I wanted to make positive music. I did make quote unquote positive music, whatever that word means. It wasn't contrived. It was what I was going through. I knew that it was softer, less ego. Um, I knew that some people wanted to hear like a more raw Grouch that was like
Fuck the
the
dumb.
old Grouch.
Yeah, they want to
Yeah,
fuck the
yeah,
dumb.
yeah. And I'm like, well, fuck the dumb still exists. Go listen to it. You know, um, this is a different time for me as an artist, and I feel like that coincides kind of with the story I told you about Maui telling me it's time to go. That just represented the whole Maui experience and the 2 years before, because that's when my daughter was born, was that time. It was the time for me to rap about family and rap about growing up and rap about putting a filter on my sink in the kitchen or whatever, because I want to be healthy. I want to be here.
Doing
I want to
yard
be
work.
strong for my daughter, doing yard work, you know what I mean? Handling my responsibilities
Yeah.
and 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 not offending people or fucking battling somebody at that point, or being angry because I didn't have anything to be angry about. Um, and a lot of people saw that as soft, and I don't care. I think it's beautiful, and I think that period was a period that I needed to go through. I don't know which period I'm in now. I'm a
Hmm.
single man. I broke up with her mom about 6 years ago now, and I don't even know if broke up's the right word. Whatever. Our relationship took on a new form.
Mm.
I don't like it when people say, "Oh, I'm sorry your relationship didn't work out," because that's not what happened. Um, it took a new form. That's
Yeah.
still one of the, you know, Larissa, who is Rio's mom, is one of the people that I've learned most from in my entire time on this planet.
Mm.
Um, and so, yeah, I don't know. I'll never. I don't even know what to say. It's like I'm getting shaken up just thinking about all the stuff we've been through, how we're still friends and how we're co-parenting to the best of our abilities, and how she'll come and stay under the same roof in our home when it needs to happen, and how her boyfriend allows that to happen, and how we're friends, and it's just a beautiful thing. That's a tangent from what you were asking me, but I will say that we are not together in that way anymore. And I'm a single man and I'm back in California and I'm doing my thing with Merce. And I'm just like, I'm in another cycle of my life and I'm enjoying it. And so there is some hunger there that wasn't there. And there is this desire to get back with living legends. And we got a static selector beat that sounds like a grimy New York beat, and we're just like, let's rap hard on this,
Mm.
you know. Um, we do a lot of we made this album, and we we said, after like listening to the group of songs that we made, we're like, Tommy came up with it. He said, there's a lot of kumbaya on this album,
Uh,
right? Which just meant like, um,
I love you guys,
whatever you
man.
want to call it. Yeah, yeah,
Man, I love
softer,
you guys.
soft, but
But I mean, like
but
you're
even
back with
even
your friends. Like I saw the footage you guys put out, and like you're all at the house and cooking, and like there's guys eating
yeah,
chips and laughing and being in a pool and all this
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what they that and just like the sound that we're creating is, it's melodic, it's softer, it's not necessarily hard edged. It's, we have a song about kissing, we have a song about God's hands, that's like, like these introspective, softer, um, you know, soft side of a man kind of take on things,
Mm-hmm.
which is interesting because my group Living Legends is all these, you might think we're like rah rah guys, or we're, like you said, there's tension and but we're California boys. Like, we eat avocado toast, and we like the ocean and the beach, and there is like this softer side to us, and I think that that's one of the draws to our group, is that we can do these harder, up tempo show rocker songs, and then we can do these heartfelt songs, um, and like the world appreciates that coming from 7 or 8 guys. Um, but that said, once we got aware that we're doing a lot of quote unquote kumbaya, okay, we need to balance that with some other stuff, like, where's that masculine, hard hitting, grimy shit
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah.
Um, and so just being aware of those kind of ideas and desires to balance things. And I mean, aside from the Living Legends album, I feel like I did that. Me and Merce made a couple albums called under the group name These Hands,
Mm-hmm.
since I've been back from California, since I've been back from Maui, and that's what I came home to. Like,
Okay.
oh, Merce, you want to do a project with me? Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is going to be,
And that thing is hilarious, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's all very hilarious. I don't know which part you're talking about. Like, are you saying just me and him together, period,
Yes, I
or?
mean the
Oh,
pic,
okay.
just the idea of you two together is very like it's very jovial. Like I get joy just thinking about you two being together. But then also
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the like the commercials and things that you did, and then on the second one with
yeah.
Reverie, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
doing
That
the
stuff's actually funny.
come and knock
Yeah,
on my door, like all this.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And he did the
Yeah,
one
that was
about
funny.
like spiritual freaks
Oh,
over the
right,
ant on
right,
the
right,
ant
right,
beat. Like
right,
man, that joint is
right,
hilarious, man.
right. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. That's a song I wish more people could hear. You know. Um, yeah. Sometimes it just feels hard to be able to reach everybody, and I feel like I mean, that's the other thing I was gonna say, brother Ali, is that wow, I forgot how I forgot how it related to the question that you asked last, but um, yeah, you were talking about like that initial hunger or the wanting to prove to the world, that you were this ill MC or whatever it is, conquer the whole entire United States and hit up every spot and wreck shop on every um, stage that you step on.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that time, and you're right. I don't feel like this is that time, even though I want to. Like you said, when you show up on the stage and you hear that Brother Ali intro, you're going to go there.
Yeah.
It's going to bring you there.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the same for me. But the other element for me of where I'm at right now is that I literally love to create. I love to create songs. And when they're done, they're like children or seeds. And so that's why I'm so happy about this Living Legends album. And that's when I look back on it, and I'm gone from the physical plane here. Those songs are going to exist,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a couple good ones at the least, and so it makes me happy to make new ones. And that's something that's still like burning inside of me. Like it's more even after it's all done. I don't know, I kind of just it moved through the process of doing it, and then when it's done, I'm like, wow, we made that, and it makes me feel good. And so that's one of the big pieces for me right now.
So I talk about BetterHelp and I talk about therapy every week on this podcast. And in full transparency, I haven't been in therapy lately, and I just signed up for BetterHelp again. Just because of the fact that I was moving around, I was traveling. I had my first therapist on BetterHelp was amazing. We did a lot in a little bit of time, and I'm so grateful for it. And she ended up going back to in-person sessions, and so she doesn't do BetterHelp anymore. So we, had a transition out. And then since then, I had two different therapists, and they were both great. All of it has been great. But one of the things I love about BetterHelp is that it's very easy to say, like, I'm looking for somebody who's a perfect fit for me. And so it's all helpful. It's all good, to talk to people. But I'm looking for somebody that's the perfect fit for me. And so I tried a couple therapists that weren't quite that. And then I knew I was going to be traveling and, back and forth from America to Turkey and stuff. So I canceled my BetterHelp. And but now I'm back in Istanbul at least for a few months, and I'm ready to jump back in. And so I actually went to BetterHelp. So you can go to BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/travelers. Or this is what I learned by doing it. You can get the BetterHelp app on your phone, which is how you access them once you sign up. It's the best way to do it. And as you're signing up, I just signed up and they were like, how'd you learn about BetterHelp? And I was like, oh, a podcast. And then you can you just type TRA and it'll be like, oh, did you learn about it on the Travelers podcast with Brother Ali? I'm like, yes, that's where I learned about it. So I'm actually getting a discount the same way you will on my first month of BetterHelp. And also Travelers Media, this podcast, is getting a commission, which we will also get when you sign up for BetterHelp. So it's a win-win-win, I guess, for everybody. Um, you know, Therapy is important, and it's one of those things that, we have all kind of weird feelings about, and we think we can't afford it. And what I love about BetterHelp is just the way that they break down the barriers to access that I had and that a lot of people from my background have. A lot of men don't want to get in therapy. A lot of people who aren't rich, We're working class artists, and like, I don't have insurance. I don't live in America. So I use BetterHelp to get therapy. And it's not like it's free. You know what I'm saying? It's not subsidized by the government. It's like I'm paying a professional person. So it is an investment. It does cost some money, but the ability to carve out space with a trained professional that I can dial in the specs because it's a huge database of people. Like, I can do it the way that I want to do it. I can have the type of therapist I want, the type of sessions I want, the type of therapy I want. And if I'm not feeling somebody, or if I'm like, yeah, you're cool, but you're not my therapist, just click a button, switch therapists. It's like no hard feelings. It's part of it. It's no extra cost. It's built right in. You can start texting with your therapist. I think I signed up on Wednesday, and I have an appointment Friday. So I'm recording this on Thursday, and tomorrow for me is Friday, and I've already so 2 days later, I will be face to face with a therapist, and he'll basically be auditioning for me. It's like, are you my therapist? Is this a fit? So we'll start, and I'll give him a little bit. I'll give him the kind of broad strokes and just see how he responds and what I feel like talking to him. And I don't have to tell him all my details. I don't have to tell him every single crazy thing that ever happened. And I'm going to ask him, I'm a public person. I make rap music. Do you know who I am? And not on some like, do you know who the hell I am? But like, do you know who I am? Because I'm just curious. Because, if you go look at my music or you listen to my podcast or whatever, I just want to know if that's your thing, um, 'cause if that's part of it or not. I'm allowed to ask that. I'm allowed to ask whatever the hell I want, and I only have to say what I want. And then as I start to trust somebody, then I give them more. If what I give them, if I like what they do with it, then I choose to give them more. So it's just dope. I want everybody to have access to therapy, and that's why I'm really glad to have this relationship with BetterHelp.com/travelers. It's dope when you said you were listening to my music during that time. It means a lot to me. And there was on that album you say, I'm bumping Brother Ali, trying to stay
Oh
focused on
yeah,
my
I
way to
did.
Bali.
Yeah,
So when I heard that, I was working on the album called Morning in America, Dreaming in Color. That was
yeah,
like, I was doing a lot of activism at that time.
yeah,
And so listening to that album, listening to Show You the World, and then when I was making my album and doing all that activism stuff, there's a song that I made for that album that ended up being a bonus track. So I don't know
mm,
if everybody heard it.
mm,
It's talking about taking a break from the revolution to just be with my family and push kids on
mm,
the swings and drink water
mm,
and cook food, and you know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? And on
mm-hmm,
the chorus of the song, I'm saying the weight of the world is heavy on my mind. Too much
mm.
to do, never enough time. So the weight of the world is heavy on my mind. That was a shout out to you
Right.
on your record. You know what I mean? That
Wow.
that was my way of saying to you, like, hey man, I'm bumping Grouch, trying to stay focused on my, you know what I mean?
Right,
Trying to
right,
stay
right.
focused on my
Oh,
thing,
that's
and
fire.
and trying to make sure to have some self-care and to
Yeah,
spend time with my family, and you
yeah,
know what I mean, to not be completely wrapped up in it. Just
yeah.
Fine, that's what it's called. The song's called Just Fine.
Oh, just fine. I'm gonna have to go check it. All right.
Yeah.
That's dope to
So
hear.
now on Spotify, I think Rhymesayers put the deluxe version on Spotify, so it's like one of the bonus songs on there.
Sick, sick. Yeah, I'm excited to check it. You said so much stuff over the like. You're the kind of rapper that when you write your shit, I'm like, I wish I wrote that. I do just have to say, like, the one line that I really wish I wrote of yours is, "You ain't gotta get me lit. I got my own light."
Wow.
That line, yeah, that line to me is like such a beautiful line because it just says so much. I'm a fan of like saying a lot with the least amount of words, and
Yeah,
so I
man.
feel like that. So I don't know. Also, just how powerful that concept is,
Mm.
like because that's the truth, you know.
That whole song came from, if you see the video, there's a man speaking at the beginning of the video, and that's like my primary spiritual guide. And the
Yeah.
the first time I ever went and sat with him, he said that, you know what I mean, to like a room full of people. So like basically the
Yeah.
ideas in that song, most of them are just me trying to figure out like how do I take what this man is saying and make a song out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fire.
And then we also
Um,
both it's interesting too that like your marriage, both while you were married and then the transition. And I love what you said too about like I don't think there's such a thing as a failed marriage.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you were married to somebody and you
Mm-hmm.
loved them and
Mm-hmm.
you had children with them and you spent years of life sustaining each other and caring for each other or even
That's right.
arguing with each other, or like if you were that intimate with a person that used to be a stranger,
That's right.
there's no failing in that. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? Unless somebody kills the other one or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's hard to fail. And somebody wouldn't say like, "Oh man, you know, if somebody's like working on their doctoral dissertation and then they finish it, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, that was a failed research project." Like it just that part of it concluded.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's not a there's a in the Quran it says because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, divorced. So to us, like nothing that the Prophet Muhammad did could be seen as failure. Like you got a problem with your faith if you see that way. You know what I mean? And in the Quran, Allah says either stay with them with kindness
Mm.
or separate from them with
That's
kindness.
right.
Like whatever it takes to preserve the kindness and like the
Yeah.
goodness between people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like it's difficult for me to be kind to you in the current arrangement.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh
But
yeah.
like maybe if we switch the arrangement
Yeah.
and then we find like how these two people are still able to at least hold each other in a good frame, you know?
Yep.
And so you were really publicly married like I was, and then you were
Mm.
publicly no longer married like I was.
Mm.
You know, my first son Fahim is all up and through my music, and your daughter is all up and through your music.
Right.
Um, and so now, like, man, she is like a young lady who's DJing and
Yeah.
like has really come into her own. And I wonder, what role do you feel like her being a part of your public testimony, how do you feel like that's impacted her?
I think it's probably helped with her confidence in life. Um, she's felt probably sometimes it may get a little strange, but she's felt love from my fans for her. Um, they've made things for her or just said nice comments. Some of my fans are like interested in the evolution or her trip, like her, like, oh, I remember seeing her on the cover as a 2 year old, and now I follow her on Instagram, and I saw what, her play on a stage, and they're like excited by that, or they're telling me that my daughter is their daughter's role model because their daughter thinks that my daughter is so cool, and this is
I mean, she's hella
that's
cool, but it
that's
was kind of like she didn't really have a
yeah, I
choice. Like
mean,
looking at who her parents are,
she's
like
so
she didn't have a
yeah,
choice,
she's
man.
so cool.
If
She's
she
so
came out
cool.
corny, like
It's
we would have to start wondering. You know,
yeah,
we'd have
yeah.
some
If
questions.
that was my child, yeah.
But I mean,
No,
between you and
no,
your
if that
mom,
was
like
either of our
man,
child.
yeah, man,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. True, true. But thank you for that. But uh aside from that, I don't know about. I mean, she got on stages with me. The no fear, like she has no fear on stage, and
Mhm.
that's what that's not even me. That didn't even come from. I mean, it came from me helping put her in that position, but I don't have no fear on stage like she has no fear on stage.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, she's just a more anything that I taught her, she's like advanced with that. I think in certain things, like she doesn't write raps like I write raps, but she didn't take that on as like that's my she's told me that's your thing, Dad. Um, and she's written some over the years, but it's like that's not the direction she wanted to go. She's still a young teenager, so she's figuring out all the stuff that she might want to do. And she's growing up in a different time where people are multifaceted and they want to be photographers and models and rappers and chefs and all the things, you
Mhm.
know. And so we'll see where the path of DJing is something that keeps coming up and that she keeps practicing. And I mean, she's a phenomenal artist. She draws so amazing. I'm just like, but she doesn't spend much time on that. And I'm not the one to tell her like spend more time doing this or that. I let her be herself, you
Mhm.
know. And so it's just amazing to watch the things that blossom. You know, you gotta let it blossom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like these artists' children that are really part of their story and part of their public testimony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I see like a similar energy in a lot of them.
Mm.
Like I see it in just even I don't know her like that, but like seeing Erica Badu's daughter,
Mm.
Puma,
Yeah.
start just showing up. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it was really weird like watching that tour that her and Yassine Bey just did because for the first time
Damn.
ever, Erica Badu was trying to sell something.
I didn't see it. I didn't. I was tuned out on that, even though I wanted to see it really bad. But I didn't see like the promotion or the lead up or see much of the stuff. What happened exactly? What do you mean she was trying to sell?
Well, like it was just strange because like you always see Badu, and it really made me know how much of a challenge this is for all of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like we look at her and like she hosts the Grammys or something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just know that like her and Yassine are in this like stratosphere that we're not.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
She's the queen.
They-
Yeah.
yeah, they're not Jay Z and Beyonce,
Right.
but they're also not Sa Rock and the Grouch and Brother Ali and
Right.
Morrison. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
so. Yeah, it was like you always just see her as the queen, and on this tour you saw her like really having to put forth a lot of effort and to basically
Mm.
go live with people and
Mm.
give away tickets and do meet and
Yeah.
greets and
Yeah.
do contests and go on
Yeah.
radio stations and things like that. Like I've never seen her in that light,
Right.
and I didn't like it because I just feel like, man, she's royalty to
Yeah.
she's part of our like she's a part of the like royalty of our culture,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to see her like that, but I also understand that
Mm.
like you get in these situations and like the
Mm.
promoters are not promoting this show, like they're
Mm.
relying on you to do it, and I don't know what the consequences were for her, if she
Right.
was like financially invested in that tour or if I don't know,
Right. Right.
but one of the things
Mm.
that she was doing is that her daughter was helping to market it, and her daughter Puma was doing it on TikTok.
Mm.
And so but there was this moment where I was like looking at her, I'm like, man, she's her own universe.
Yeah.
The same
Yeah.
way your daughter is, and the
Yeah.
same like my son is not public, but I mean,
Yeah.
he makes music and he's got all these like he's got
That's
this whole
right.
like philosophy about stuff and like
That's right.
you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
got a whole image that like if he ever brings it out into the world, people be like, damn, that's Brother Ali's son.
Right.
Because it's
Right. Right.
he told me when he was about 14, I'm gonna be the exact opposite of you. I want nothing to do with what you do. There will
Yeah.
be no sample drums. There's gonna be none of you know what I mean? Like
That's right. Yeah.
that's part of
No,
his
I mean the same thing with Rio is like she's like you're my dad. Like you're my dad. Like she doesn't listen to my music like that.
right.
She's checked in on it. She knows what songs she likes and which ones are the popular ones and stuff like that. But she's like, she says Dad, it would be weird if I was sitting around listening
Yes.
to your music all the time,
Yeah.
you know? And she's right.
Yes.
I mean, if she feels like that, then she's right, you know? And so, I mean, in a certain extent, yeah, yeah. I don't know what else to say to that, but like I kind of understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like I was going to say earlier on that when she was real little, when she was like 5 or 6 or 7, she used to get on stage with me and do raps, and she was just in this innocent place where she wasn't too cool already, and she would kill it, and she would get the love. And so I think that did help build confidence and no fear on stage. And then there was one time as she got older, as like a young teenager, where she came up on one of my stages and she played a DJ set, and she was playing the kind of music that she was into, and my crowd wasn't feeling it.
Mhm.
And she felt that from them. And
Ah.
she said, you know, it doesn't make sense for me to go up there anymore and do, which is pretty sad. Yeah, it's pretty sad. But it didn't crush her or anything like that.
Mm.
It just was like she saw it for what it is. She saw it for older people not being open-minded enough, and you know loving enough to not show that to a teenager who's my daughter at my show, including her and her mom in my music. It's I don't know what to call that. Like, it's it's putting a lot out there,
Mhm.
in a sense, and I think it's for the majority, like, we've all been good with it. Like, they never told me, like, don't put me in that music. There's times where I wrote songs about her mom, and she's been like, oh my God, that's so special.
Mm.
It's special to me. You wrote that about me. But there's some level of what's the word, like, vulnerability in doing all that,
Yeah.
and so I also, when I say that there's nice fans of mine or fans that have given her stuff, I'm also like, have to create a healthy boundary there too.
Mhm.
I want you to know all this stuff about me, but then I want you to have a certain level of respect to give me my space when I need my space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenge, and I think that me and you have been more literal and specific. Like, everybody has some degree of like talking about that
Right,
they love their mom and they love their kids
right,
but I mean,
right.
we've been very specifically autobiographical to the point where people know
Yeah,
names and dates and
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah,
you know
yeah,
like somebody might recognize them. And yeah, my son Fahim, like I have a string of songs that I've made
right.
and they're not all happy. Like a lot of them aren't very happy. But actually none of them none of them are happy, man. I need to do one about
Oh
just being
man.
happy, that like just being proud of this guy, man.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Cause yeah, now that I think about it, man, they're all really like heavy. They're heavy
Wow.
songs about some
Yeah.
of the, and man, there's a point where I'm just like, man, maybe it's just because of the way that I've written the songs, but I'm like, man, I'm not sure it was fair for me to do that the way I did it.
Right. That's kind of what I was saying, but I didn't say that.
Because it's kind of like people need to tell their own stories, but like these aren't storytellers. Like I'm telling a story of my experience with
Right.
people, and
Right.
um, yeah, it's a challenge, man. That one is a that one's a challenge. Um, I want to make sure that also, I mean, as soon as I started this podcast, the idea of it was like, man, so many of these artists, I know people hear your music and I know that they hear so many of our friends, like our tribe. People
Yeah.
hear our music and they know. But I'm like, man, they say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And the people that I know are people's heroes. You are a lot of people's heroes and I'm one of them.
Mm.
But like to know you and so many of the people that I know, it's like, man, you have no idea how beautiful Black Thought is in real life,
Oh
or
man.
Yasin
Yeah.
Bey,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or like all of these
Yeah.
people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, if you think Homeboy Sandman is dope on a
Yeah.
record, you
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
sit in the back of a van for
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
hours when you both gotta pee and
Yeah.
like see how amazing Homeboy
Yeah,
Sandman is.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. That's amazing.
It's like a big part of like why I want to do this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I just wanted people to be able to just get that sense. But um, so we did the How to Grouse Stole Christmas tour,
That
2010.
was
I had just come
2010.
back from Mecca.
That's
Yeah,
crazy,
man.
bro. This is 23.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was 13 years ago.
Wow.
I don't feel old, but it's like when you say stuff like that, it's like, man, I remember hearing people say stuff like that and being like, whoa, y'all are old.
I mean, I feel like a time traveler because I'm up in the Bay right now, and I was out with one of my like my high school friends last night. We were getting some late night bite to eat, and we're in Berkeley by the college by Cal, and we're standing on these same corners that I used to sell tapes on like 25 years ago. And we're looking at buildings, and I'm like, I remember going into that building right there as it was like a party. They had a party and someone was DJing in there. And I don't know, just all these experiences that I had in that area were just coming back, and I'm seeing them as they were yesterday.
Hmm.
Just these thoughts in like what you said 13 years ago, and these big time periods that we can talk about, and these experiences that we've had is like, yeah, it's been a long time. We are a lot older. um yeah, I still feel good though, and I'm still excited to be here. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to take you on this tour and to be doing what we love to do 13 years later.
You know,
It's
that
a
was a
beautiful
really
thing.
special time for both of us. Like me just come, that was my first time going to Mecca, basically like a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual recommitment,
Yep.
you know what I mean? And and I know what was going on in your life at that
Yeah.
time. And so that was like a major period. And I think for us to do that tour during that time was a very special time when like it was a gift that I think the creator, that the divine gave us to
Mm.
be together
Yeah.
in that moment where like, because it's that same thing where it's like, oh, I know this guy from before we were in these
Yeah.
bodies, you know what I'm saying? Like I love this guy.
Yeah.
But then there was that specific moment where we dropped in like y'all are going to be together at this very like pivotal period.
Mm.
And so, me coming back from Istanbul, but also the legends reuniting,
Yeah.
that's a very special thing
Yeah.
for our, you know, for our cohort
Mm.
of artists and
Thank you.
for our part of the culture. Like
Mm.
that's a really special,
Mm.
important thing.
Yeah.
I would love to see, I would love to see Def Jux do that. I would love to see Rhymesayers do
Yeah.
that. You know
Same.
what I mean?
Same.
But for the legends to come back together, man, is a really powerful, important thing, man. And so I'm really, I would have done the tour with you no matter what.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it feels like that's really special, man. Like I'm really grateful to be able to witness that and be part of it.
I'm happy that you feel that way, and we're happy to have you. And just speaking on like you feeling like it's a special thing to you, it just makes me feel. I just want to say that our peer group, I love our peer group.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love being brothers with all these people that I don't necessarily even know as well as I know you.
yeah.
I mean, Immortal Technique, he's my brother, but I haven't spent as many hours with him as I've spent with you.
Right.
There's all these guys in this underground hip hop thing that is its own special, unique place to be, that gets no love on the radio, that gets no love on Spotify, that we're all so
But
amazing. We're
somehow
all
we're all
so,
tattooed on people's bodies, man.
that's right.
Like
You know?
all of us
Yeah.
made it to, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Made it to
Yeah.
people's lives to the point where
Yeah.
the same way that the people that touched us, like we've been blessed to
Yeah.
influence people like
Yeah.
that. It's a it's a collective miracle
Yeah. It is.
between
Wow.
people that didn't even know each other, man.
Wow. 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 Yeah. It is.
Like, man, Vinny Paz came on this show, and I mean, like, me and Vinny Paz have maybe had 4 conversations. Like we used
Man,
to,
I listened to a little. I listened to a little of it last night, but as I was falling asleep, and
dude,
it
we
was
used to
great.
avoid each
But
other. Me and Vinny Paz were on some like, nope,
right,
nope,
I
no, I'm
heard
good,
that
I'm good,
part.
I'm
I
cool.
heard that
Nope,
part.
nope, nope, nope,
I
nope.
heard that
Don't
part.
want to fight him. Don't
Yeah,
want to.
that was hilarious.
But man,
Yeah.
and we spoke about that, and he started crying in that conversation, and he cried for most of that hour and a half, 2 hour conversation.
Wow.
And it's just like, man, this
Wow.
guy is so beautiful. Even though his
Yeah.
music is like, you know what I'm saying? Pack
Yeah.
pistol, Bazzy,
Yeah.
shoot you in the face and kill
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
mama with the, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
With the kill
Yeah.
your mama with the llama.
Yeah.
Like you talk to the guy, and it's like that stuff's also true. It's not to say that that stuff's not true, but like, man,
Right.
there's a very, very special. There's a very special bond that we have
Yeah.
become a collective miracle,
Yeah.
and the divine chose us to be together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a miracle. Yeah. But I'm glad to be put. That's the thing. When someone puts out something new now, it means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Hyro were to do an album, that would be huge to me. The fact that Farside is out there touring and doing stuff, it's big to me. Like I see that as a win for my brothers and for me.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
if Pep Love drops an album, I can't wait to listen to it. You know,
Yeah.
anytime Atmosphere, when Evidence drops an album, I can't wait to listen to it.
Boot Camp
When Brother
Click,
Ali drops an album,
you get a new
you know what I'm saying?
Buckshot Shorty
Yeah.
joint. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black Star, even, it's like, I mean, especially for me, but you know, we're probably not going to get another Tribe Called Quest album. We're probably not going to get another De La Soul album. I can't speak factually on that, but you know, we're not going to get another Doom album. We're not going to get another Black Alicious album.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get another Zion I album. So when these albums come out of these people that we're listing that we will get the opportunity to hear, it's just so special to me.
Is Yasin Bey like one of your goats? Is he like one of your?
Oh my God, one of the top. Yeah, one of the top.
I
Like
think
that album that they dropped this year.
Yeah.
Like I don't know who played it more, me or you. I don't know.
This is from my
Like,
dedication to my favorite band, the Human Beings, the faithful, the graceful, the classic, and
Oh
the
my
tragic.
God, yeah.
Evidence of things
Yeah, yeah.
unseen, the Book of Light,
Yeah,
the Mansions in
yeah.
the Moon,
Oh
the
my
Bones of
God.
Pharaoh. Recently discovered anything but new. Doubters doubts about it never made it untrue. Woo! That's one of my favorite rap verses of all time, man.
Oh my God.
He's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
There's been times where like I've had, you know, but man, for me, it's Yasin.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's a good one.
Did you hear what he did? So M1 interviewed him on Audible. It just came out a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hear it.
It's called you did or didn't?
I did not.
Oh man.
I'm gonna check it.
I just told him, I was like, man, that thing is so incredible. He was like, oh, really? I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's you.
Damn.
He was like, "Oh, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. It's nice, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's amazing." He's like, "Oh, I haven't heard it. I have to check it out."
Wow.
Like he probably doesn't even remember.
Yeah.
saying the things he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So the new Legends and the full album will be out. You'll have everything on the tour.
Yeah, the full album it's called The Return, and it's got 16 songs, and we're gonna have vinyl, cassettes, and CDs, like the old days. And
so who's on it? So Reverie's
I'm excited for it.
Who else is on the record?
Reverie's on it. You're on it. Opio's on it. Opio's on the same song that you're on.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, Atmosphere in the sense that Ant made the beat and Slug is on it. I got my bro Jay Worthy. I don't know if you know who that is. He's on it. He's pretty poppin'. He's one of Larry June's guys.
Okay.
He's also he's a Griselda West member.
Okay.
And
This is probably somebody that Evidence has sent me a bunch of his music and I just haven't clicked it yet.
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And
Oh, Dell's on there too.
dope. And then
And
producers, you
Pep
said
Row.
so. Static did some. Ant did some. I'm imagining
Yeah.
DJ Fresh is on that joint.
Oh my God, that's so sad. I tried. We sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it's like he sends a pack months before we pick one of the beats for these hands or something. Then I say send another pack, and he's like, "Bro, I'm busy in the middle of making my album. I'll get you one when I can." And by the just the way that we got together and made this Legends album, a DJ Fresh beat did not make it on there, and
Damn.
I'm
It's
yeah,
like when Just
I'm
Blaze almost didn't make it on the Black album.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
When he
I
was
mean, it's
he was
crazy. I
like,
mean,
we got 4 albums here. He's not on it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like we both didn't try. Like we both tried. I
Mm.
mean, it's also I have 8 guys in the group. The way we picked that beats, like we all went and rented a house and lived under the same roof for a week. And the way that we picked the like I had folders coming in right and left from all different types of producers. We didn't even have enough time to listen to all the beats.
Mhm.
And so I might go through a folder and pick out 2 that I like, and then in another room, somebody else might do the same thing.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, guys are writing to 11 different beats, because there's 8 of us. If 2 guys pick 2 beats and start writing to it, it's like starts adding up to a bunch of song starts.
Yeah.
And then Eli passes, hey, I dropped this verse and Sunspot did the chorus. He passes me that, and I'm working on that. I didn't really have, a decision to choose that one at that point.
Is
It
there
just
an
got
unofficial
handed to
leader?
me.
Like, is somebody? Is it Lucky? Like, is there an unofficial leader of the Legends?
I don't know what that means. There's still like it's very. I can't sit up here and say I'm the head, without getting like know your fucking
Right,
not, you know.
right.
Um,
But do you
so
appear to have some leadership quality?
I have a bulk of a lot of the work on my plate. As far as the album exists in my computer, I'm the one who compiles it all in the Pro Tools. Then I bring it over and I sit next to the engineer and we go over notes and he engineers it and I'm there in a chair next to him. Um, I don't know, Ali. I don't want to just list all the stuff that I'm doing, but a lot of the reason why I mean I'm straight up a lot of reason why this album is happening is because there was a time when I was sitting at home and I was like all my brothers are alive right now
Yeah,
and I want to make this happen.
yeah. What does it mean for? I mean, Merce is retired, so it's kind of a mute point. But I
Yeah.
mean, to have this thing come back together, and now I mean, and I know that Merce has like very publicly had his departures and returns, and mostly departures. But you know what I mean. I know that, and he's perfectly
Yeah.
capable to speak on that for himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, what does it mean for the crew to come back for this tour and the thing and the album and not have Merce?
We wish that he was here, but we are confident in our own selves and he's a grown man. If he chooses to not be in it, it's not gonna I don't want to let it stop us.
Right.
Well, much love and respect to Merce. Like I feel so grateful to be able to have the connection that I've had with Merce over the last few years.
Hmm.
And I wish that for my other brothers too, because we all love Merce. Um, so I feel probably a little more complete than they do because I still have this relationship with him on a daily basis.
Hmm.
Um, some of them might desire more of that than they get. I'm not sure. Some of them a lot of my guys in my group are new dads right now. And so they have their own plates full. You know, Picasso has two young children
Wow.
that are age 1 and 2. Eli has a 2-year-old with a baby on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Scarab has a newborn, his third. You know, Lucky has a 4-year-old. And so a lot of those guys got their hands full with this, you know, adding this to the plate as well. And for me, I was going to say that the hustle muscle for me is back. That hustle muscle that I was missing in Maui, it's being worked out at all times. Like I'm working in a way that I haven't worked since I was 25, and not to say that I haven't progressed or that I'm like, oh, you still got your hands in the dirt this much later. I'm just saying it's what I like to do. It's that other part of me that I found again
Mm-hmm.
that I'm enjoying. It's a challenge. It's like, oh, can I get enough sleep and wake up and accomplish all these other things
Yes.
that I want to do today, you know? And that's hard, but it also feels good and it feels purposeful.
Man, I think that's a good place to wrap this one up.
I feel you. I feel you. Because I'm hungry. Literally. I gotta go eat something.
Man. Well, I appreciate you, man, and I love you, and I can't wait to see you. And it's just dope. It's
Same, my brother.
it's just
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to, you know what I mean? Like I'm really happy to be headed out on the road with y'all, and like I said, witnessing this moment and
Same.
just going out and just being great together again. Like
Same,
it's like,
brother.
man, we're all about to go be great. You know what I mean?
Same, brother. Same.
Yeah, man. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right, man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Much love.
Special thanks to the Grouch for being so generous with himself and his time and his insight and his wisdom and his stories, and for just showing up and being real as we've always known him to be. It really means a lot. Go to brotherali.com. In the event section, you can check out all of the tour dates that are coming up. Please don't tell me you wish we were going somewhere else. I'm coming all the way from Turkey to do these shows. We're all leaving our families. You got the whole Living Legends crew coming out. You know what I'm saying? There's DJs and sound people and merch people and all of this stuff that's being mobilized to do this tour. And we're all putting a big, significant chunk of our time and lives into this thing. So please don't tell me, come to so-and-so. No, you come to where we're going. You know what I'm saying? It's just not possible to go everywhere on every tour. So if you want to see this show, and this is not a show to miss, Living Legends are incredible live. You know, everybody on this tour individually are worth the price of admission. You know what I'm saying? So go to brotherali.com in the event section, hit the links, get the tickets, get them early. Don't wait till the end. I'm guessing a lot of these shows are going to sell out. Maybe the whole thing might sell out. I don't know. But this is something I'm really, really looking forward to, and just moments I can't wait to share, you know? So make sure to be part of that. Special thanks to Emna Mirza and Mansour Panawala and Mark from Medina Hip Hop and Last Word and all of the people that have helped out in any kind of way with this podcast along the way. And yeah, the people that listen and give me feedback, that all really matters to me. Imam Shane and Imam Khalis and Aida Rashid and Mike Madison and man, my man Ahmed Fahmy. I ran into him the other day and he told me, I listened to the intro of every episode. So this is the outro. So I don't know if he's going to hear it or not, but everybody that listens and gives me feedback, my friends, I really appreciate that very deeply. Travelers Podcast is produced by Brendan Kelly, a.k.a. BK1 on the Wheels of Steel. And it's a product of Travelers Media. We love you all. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.